Hey, this is Dead Gamer. This is a quick little video, believe it or not, or let's try to make it quick, on how to assemble these little guys. The only reason I'm making this video is actually because I made a Zone Mortalis sort of overview on their interactions of these with the 3D board, and a couple of people on there had mentioned they're like, "Hey man, you didn't glue those tops down, did you?" And I'm like, yeah. And I mean, what it really was I just got excited. I got my stuff. I started clipping it off, and I'm like, how hard is it to put together four corners and a top? Well, apparently it's more difficult than this blonde individual thought, because they glued the tops down. And you're not supposed to glue the tops down. And the reason why you're not supposed to glue the tops down is because these tops pop out and they flip over and they snap back in, and then you're able to snap another piece on top and it locks in. Not like locks in so it wouldn't fall, but it at least locks in like California earthquake style. It'll stay together. So I kind of screwed up, but I also kind of didn't, because anytime you're going to stack something, you have to have a top, right? Because you're stacking. So those two pieces that I did glue will just always be the top pieces. I glued one of the, I gotta find the guy, it's one of these somewhere. But I glued one of these, and then I glued one of these. Here he is. This is the glued one, this is the culprit, and then this is the other guy. So if I'm ever going just one layer, these are fine. But if I'm ever gonna stack, I have to use these two because I glued the tops on. So going through this process, I sort of I've always done this with gluing if I'm using plastic glue, and this is, I guess, a video more for if you're using plastic glue to put your models together. I don't use super glue on plastic because I am a purist. No, it's just I've grew up building plastic models, and I always use plastic cement, and that's just kind of where my brain is. And I know GW makes a plastic glue. I don't know if it's the same kind of plastic glue that like the mainstream modelers use for like the regular model tanks, boats, planes, cars, kits. I'm not sure because I've never bought it. I've sort of I've been building models for 30 some odd years, and once I grew up to the age where I could afford the toxic stuff, there was a brand that they made that's no longer available called 10X, and that stuff was amazing. But it also probably has given me some kind of cancer that will rear its ugly head far in the future, hopefully. And yeah, I don't know why they took it off the market. It's probably not good for you. But the one that's tried and tested and I love is the Model Masters. This particular one, and the code is this guy right here. 8872C. It's liquid cement for plastic models. And this particular one has a metal applicator. It doesn't have a plastic one. So you can see it right there. And this one's almost done, which is why I just went out and bought this one. So it's kind of cool that I have it. But this is the one I recommend using. And you might have your own that you like, and that's great. And I'm not telling you got to use whatever, but this is for me the bomb right here. So when I slapped these together, because I had a bunch of these to build, one thing I always look for is ways to keep things clamped together while it's drying. And this one in particular is a pretty interesting kit because you don't want to glue these down, so you want to keep from getting glue sort of up in these top areas or down in these bottom areas, which is totally not my normal way of gluing. I usually like to glue all the way down, so when I press them together and they melt together, they create that seam that I could sand away, because I'm that guy who needs all my mold lines removed. So this was sort of hard for me to not do because it's against how I normally build. But I did it this way particularly because I had a lot of these to build, and it's just terrain. I mean, I'm not going to be It's not like I'm, you know, putting together a model I'm going to spend umpteen hours painting. This is just sort of, it's going to get beat up. It's going to be stored in a box. They're going to hit each other. So I need to sort of not be so anal retentive in terms of how clean everything is. Still shave all the mold lines and everything, but I'm not going to trip out if it's not completely gap free, I guess. So that being said, sometimes it's hard to get these things to hold tightly while they're gluing. So I sort of made, or I came up with this idea that I use in other things. This isn't new, but I figured I'd share it because probably a lot of people are going to be building this stuff, and this may help them. So I've got my laptop is sort of at an alligator mouth right now. And I got a Ziploc bag box holding it up. So I could bring this down and I can kind of show you. This is about as close as I'm going to be able to get, but I can sort of show you guys how to do this. So the pieces here you're going to have two of these, which are the regular walls, right? And on these regular walls, the part to focus on is this little protrusion right here, this edge, and then this little protrusion right here, this little edge. And that's where you're going to want to stick glue, is basically from here up to here. You don't want to come down here, and you don't want to come up into here, because if you come up into here, or if you get too far up here, when you put that lid on, if it's still wet, it'll glue it in there. And the reason I say that is you'll see in a little bit when we start putting these together. So both these pieces are going to get the glue treatment on those two sides, and then you're doing nothing with the top piece. This is just staying off to the side. And then you're getting these two side wall sections, which have got those two little pieces I was talking about. Well, they seat right inside of these slots, right here and right here and right here and right here. So what I like to do, I like to get glue on both sides of my model. So I'll take my little applicator, I'll squeeze it and get the juice going. Come on, buddy. And then I'll just drop it in there, drop it in there, drop it in there, drop it in there. Set that kid down, go to the next one. And what's happening while I'm doing this is that is starting to bite into the plastic or eat into the plastic. Coming here, just getting that section right there, all the way up to there. You can probably see it right there. Maybe. Yep, there it is. See the shininess? That's all I got right there. Flipping it around, doing the same thing. Going back the other direction. Boom. And I like to get both sides because I like to get the plastic to start sort of softening and getting ready to be joined with the other piece of plastic. So once you got out all your pieces with glue on them, okay, you're going to take this kid, you're going to turn them, and then I'm literally just putting this on the table and sliding it over, and it goes right in. Boom. Okay, take this guy, stick it down, slide it, boom, done, right? This kid, now you're going to have to sort of, right now they're straight up, you're going to have to sandwich them out a little bit to drop this in, and then you're going to close them. Like that. And now because we don't have another wall, this square is going to want to go and like move. So what I do here is I'll drop this piece back in. And again, we didn't glue up top, so it's not going to be permanent. And I do this temporarily. And while I'm holding it, I want to create a pressure and I want to keep this thing squeezed together. So this is the trick I've done over the years. You take electrical tape. Now this has to work with electrical tape because electrical tape has some elasticity to it. So you just pull out a piece of electrical tape, rip it off, okay? You got your electrical tape. Now you stretch it. Now when you stretch it, electrical tape over time it'll re-shrink. But now let me let go of this. You can see how it's kind of wavy. Because I've stretched it out, but it's starting to pull itself back together. So you grab your model, and I always like to back tape, which means that you don't put the sticky side down. You leave the sticky side up. And this will take you a couple of times to learn. because it is a little difficult. And you just kind of keep it stretched, but not hard. And you wrap it around. And there you go. And then you could pop your lid out. And what's going to happen is over time, this tape is going to constrict and keep this plastic tight around itself. And once you're done and it dries, you just, because it's sticky here, obviously, I back taped it again. I'm not a fan of taping it against the plastic because sometimes this stickiness gets on the plastic and then you gotta, it's kind of a pain in the ass to get off. But that's it. Let me get my fancy box back under my laptop. So that's it. You just got that thing. It's ready to go. Let it sit. You know, I'll let them sit overnight. But I think this stuff dries in 20, 30 minutes. But they also, it's dry to touch, right? But they recommend, you know, it says 2 hours dry time. Okay, well, there you go, 2 hours. So, I don't know. It's just a helpful thing. I whipped through all mine to get them all together. And this is just a really neat little trick for putting these together. So, fortunately, this video ended up going a little longer than I thought. But it was fun. And I also want to say thanks to Joseph Tewksbury. I believe that's how you say your last name. And the Devil Mixer. They were the two guys that had mentioned to me on the previous video that, hey, bro, we think you screwed up by gluing your tops on. So, again, I was excited. And I'm glad they did comment because I might have come home that next day and just started building more and gluing all these in. And then I would be up a shit creek because I would probably, well, I guess having a reason to buy another set wouldn't be that bad. You're spending $290, but it would be, you know, I'll probably end up getting a second set anyway or more. Who knows? Who knows? But that's it, guys. So hopefully this little tip helps. I don't usually do hobby tips, but this was just something I do. And I realized that a lot of people are probably going to be getting into this. And it's just a really good, quick way to secure these things. And again, it's important that you put this in there to keep the form while you're taping it, because you don't want this thing to oblong and turn into like a diamond shape. That would be bad. Oh, I just dropped something. So anyway, and you can leave this in here if you're pretty sure it didn't glue. It helps. I mean, right? Anything that's gonna keep it from diamonding, but you know, as long as you don't have glue up in these areas, when you pull this guy out, you can look at it. If it doesn't look like you've got glue, give it some sweet, sweet smells. Doesn't smell like plastic glue, so you're good. Not advocating glue sniffing, by the way. That's just purely for modeling awareness. So there you go, guys. Hope this video helped, and enjoy building your stuff because it is a pretty awesome rad kit. Oh, the other thing too is it helped with building these doors. When you put these together, this is the same principle. You have this piece on the bottom, you have these two side pieces, and then this guy sort of sits in. Like you could see the two pieces, how it's higher here, lower here, higher here, lower here. And this has got that little ridge. That little half moon drops right into there. Well, you don't really want to, you got to be careful, because if you're gluing this together and these are too far out, when it dries, it's not going to lock in place. And then your door is going to want to go whoop, whoop, kind of like a kitchen, the kitchen doors you walk through and it goes, yeah, it'll want to do that while it sits. But if you get it nice and tight, it's not going to want to move at all. And what I did there was that once I glued the bottoms on, I did the back tape thing pretty much right in the center, going down this way, right? And let it glue with the door in place, and it made this thing nice tight, and it's not going to be loose. So yeah, that's it. Again, hopefully that helps you guys out, and stay tuned for more awesomeness on the Dead Gamer channel. I don't know.